Hey guys, it's Nick here at Hidden Valley Bushcraft, and today I'm down here in our lovely little woodland, and I'm going to be reviewing or taking a closer look at ultralight bushcraft gear versus kind of more of your kind of standard choices and things that we see people going for on the market, and just having a little look, getting those juices flowing and starting to introduce your minds towards all those kind of trade-off points which get spoken about so much in forums, in our comments box. You always see people talking about price versus weight versus durability versus performance, and so today we're going to have a little look and I'm going to give you my opinion on what I find with these things here. As you can see guys, I've gone for a bit of a cross section of items. I think we should start off with the cutting tools. I've got here something I would normally carry, which I consider to be quite a lightweight option, which is the Nordic Pocket Chainsaw. I will add, by the way, I'm not sponsored by anyone to talk about any particular kit. I just talk about things I like. So as you can see, I've got these two brightly coloured handles, extremely durable piece of kit, and an absolutely razor sharp professional chain. Okay, and what I mean by that is that's the sort of thing you'd find on an actual chainsaw. Now this thing has proven itself time and again as I've felled everything from small trees to processing firewood. Obviously with two handles like this, someone else can join the party, so it's not like, you know, maybe if you're using a saw and it's just one person doing the sawing. Okay, so two people can get involved here. I've actually tested one of these as far as Africa, and it really held up well, and I actually gifted it to the locals there because, you know, from a price point, these don't break the bank either, and I think that they're worth the sort of 30 or 40 quid that you pay for these. Obviously you can resharpen the chain as well as you would conventionally with a file, and I think they are pretty good and robust. Now the other thing I generally tend to carry, you'll always see me carrying guys, okay, is the laplander. A very lightweight option. Okay, and I would consider this to be a piece of ultralight gear because it's that light. From a price point, they're coming at around 15 quid and are really useful. Very mild, soft, forgiving steel. You can have a lot of mishaps with this if you're not careful. Okay, so you still need to respect it, but equally so, if you do manage to bend the blade, you can generally bend it back again, and it has these overly hardened retrofitted teeth. Okay, so really good piece of kit. But if that's maybe too big in your kit, because of course, here's where we start to get into that whole, well, I want something that's ultralight. Well, look, guys, the bacho is lighter than the chainsaw chain, but it's nowhere near as small and light as something like this new age piece of equipment here, which is by a company called EDCX, and it's the Kevlar saw. Now this comes in at, I've written the price on the back, $6.99. I've never used it. I think we definitely need to use it today on both green and deadwood, and we're going to test that in just a moment and see how it gets on by comparison to something like the mighty Nordic Pocket Chainsaw and the well-established Laplander. So in terms of weight, okay, this is probably the heaviest option, then the Laplander. There's not really much in it, in fact, between those two, and then this weighs absolutely nothing. First up is going to be the Nordic Pocket Chainsaw. All right, and I'm going to head for this piece here, which is about as thick as my thumb. Because it's got that really narrow nose, I can really get in there quite tight, close to the main body, and I can begin to have this out. That's gone straight through that with ease. Okay, so we'll just leave that there for now. Just goes to show what a versatile piece of kit this is. Next up, I'm going to use something like my Nordic Pocket Chainsaw. So to make this work, guys, I'm going to slot this behind the piece that I want to be cutting down here. Okay, and I'm going to work that in. There we go. So you can see the versatility of this thing already, because I can slot it in behind that piece of timber there. And to make this a super fair test, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I will cut this one, and then I will cut the same one again using the Kevlar saw. So here we go, Nordic Pocket Chainsaw. And I'm through. Okay, that was impressive. Took so little effort. I didn't count how many times I pulled on it, but it wasn't much. Over to our brand new fancy pants piece of equipment, the Nordic Pocket Chainsaw, which I've never used in my life, as I said. Now, it seems to be quite a long piece of cord, really long, in fact. I'm going to go ahead and say that I've probably got 2 meters or 3 meters of this stuff here. I'm going to fit this in behind, just as I did with the other one. Okay, and it comes with this double keyring assembly. So straight out the box, this is what I've got. I've got 2 keyrings on one and then an empty end. So straight away, I'm not overly impressed. I was expecting to have a keyring on here, which means I now need to replicate this knot on the other side for me to be able to use this in the same way. Okay, there we go. So I've now got 2 ends like so. I'm going to pop one behind here. Now I've got so much, just to give you an idea, of how much I've got now to cut one tiny little. I mean, they've literally given me, I'm going to have to cut this from miles back to actually use these effectively, or I'm going to have to cut the cordage and cut it down, which is not something you ever really want to go and do. Right, so we're working with small diameter green wood. Got my fingers in here. Okay, it's already a lot more work than the chainsaw was. And there really is quite a bit of friction on this rope, and I'm really giving it the big licks here, guys. I mean, I can already tell you I'm trying to give it as much cordage as possible, and I'm using my full reach, and I'm burning more calories than I was using the pocket chainsaw or the Laplander. I think it's going through, but it really is taking a while. Oh, finally. See, that is literally cut into my hand, and it has just burnt its way through. The whole thing, it has basically burned its way through, compared to the pocket chainsaw on the top, which was a handful of pulls. So ask yourself, for that added room in your bag, which is fairly minimal, difference between probably the size of a credit card or a wallet versus something the size of a sort of a 50p coin. I don't rate this as a piece of kit. I wouldn't go out and buy one, and I wouldn't tell people to go and buy one, personally speaking. I'd go buy one of these, or I'd go buy a lightweight, good quality saw. Okay, guys, like, unless you're some kind of alpinist, like a serious mountain climber, like where weight is essential and crucial to your mission to get to that summit, get up and get back down, where the window is on your side, why would you carry this really thin cutting Kevlar cord? I don't get it. EDCX Kevlar saw, emergency cord, reserved for surviving. Reserved for surviving, reserved for, like, don't bother buying this and think that you're going to survive with this, because you are going to burn through all of your vital calories. If you were in a survival situation, you will rinse through so many calories trying to cut basic small diameter timber to build yourself a shelter or whatever. It's not worth the bang for buck. So there we go. So I'm going to carry this lot back, and we're going to go take a look at the next item, ultralight cooking gear. So I've got here something like an Alpine lightweight aluminium mug. It's the sort of thing you're going to take if you're going to go and attempt Everest. Okay, super lightweight, and its sole purpose is to boil liquid. I would not advise cooking in something as thin-walled as this. Best of luck to you if you do. Balanced against, well, where would I be without my the mighty Crusader mug? Okay, and that's one thing that always needs to be spoken about with a little piece of tin foil. Okay, and the other option, which is kind of a two-part deal, is the mighty Jetboil. Now, this one's got a bit of a story, because I've had this since about 2000, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say 10. And what happened with this one was I started having issues with the clicker. It's been used to death, right? So if you take that bit away and say, let's discard that, say it's no good anymore, you have actually got a titanium mug. So this kind of fancy space age titanium, okay, could be a billy pot really easily just by drilling through the top here. You can find yourself a metal cover. You'll have to have a shop around and see what actually fits on there. It might be you can end up with a two-part nested. There's loads of kind of different scenarios where you can mess around with this stuff, but if being ultra light is your key objective, then using this, something like this as your billy pot would be quite useful if you could get hold of an old one that nobody wanted, as opposed to going ahead and buying a full-on steel MSR billy can. But For me, my heart lies with steel, and I'm in a fortunate position to be able to potentially cannibalize this and turn this into a bit of a lightweight project, okay, where I could end up having all kinds of setup inside of here, and it might be that the whole thing then operates with something like an MSR pocket rocket underneath. Guys, it's all about having a play. But as an ultralight option, okay, this weighs next to nothing. It's got those super fins at the bottom which are designed to heat up and throw that heat into the wider unit. But think about this. If it heats up really quick, okay, and that goes for this as well, if these things heat up really quickly, guess what else they do really quickly? They cool down. As soon as the air is moving across the front of this. Hence, this one needs this neoprene jacket on there. But having the neoprene jacket on there negates me being able to put that underneath the fire, because obviously this will just burn. So we end up in this classic trade-off. Why don't we just do away with either of those and go with a good old-fashioned steel mug. Steel mug and a decent set of gloves. There's pretty much not much to stop you. You've seen it firsthand here on the channel where I've gone and baked bread inside this. I've done all sorts of stuff inside here, okay? Steel is cheap. Steel is reliable. Steel is strong. Think about this, guys. If someone in your camp accidentally rhinos over your cup, okay, so acts like a rhino and knocks over your cup, and then has the good sense to accidentally crush it with a boot, this will just literally, I mean, I could probably crush this with my hands, fold in and break and be completely unusable in the middle of nowhere. That's really an undesirable situation. Appreciate I'm dealing with different, you know, kind of literage, different sizes here, but let's just say for argument's sake, we upscale this to a larger aluminium model. It's going to be a similar sort of sketch. Another option that I sometimes use is the Nalgene bottle inside the Stanley Adventure Cup. Now the Stanley Adventure Cup is pretty cool for the fact that the handle kind of clicks in like that. It's very durable. The only problem I'd say is because it's rounded and not kidney shape is it has a tendency to get knocked over quite easily. It is extremely lightweight. It's lighter than the Crusader mug. However, of the two, I'd rather bake bread in the Crusader mug, and I have done successfully, than bake bread in the Stanley mug. It can be done, but it's slightly thinner walled, so you're going to incur those same potential options where anything with sugar, anything with great sugars in your food could easily burn or catch, shall we say catch. It's never burnt, it's caramelized, chef. Now, price points for all of these things. The Stanley mug didn't break the bank at all. I'm trying to think what it was now. I think it was about £20. And that came with a lid, which is perforated on the top, which is great because there is actually a method of putting the lid on top, then putting the handle over. Okay, so that's pinned down, and then you can slide this bar to the middle, okay, and you can suspend your pot above the fire like so, and in doing so it's not going to turn into a pressure cooker and explode because you've got that pressure release. You've got these little perforations here. So all in all, it's a very handy, very versatile, overall good piece of equipment. You've got those units of measure on the side as well, which are always handy. The jet boil we spoke about was very expensive. Now, I've seen Crusader mugs as cheap as £14 recently. I can't remember where I saw them. You can pick them up at most surplus stores. They'll always have a date on there. So this one's a 2003. I also have a 2006 somewhere with a powder coated finish. They are pretty bomb proof. As I said, these kind of Alpine cups you can pick up for literally a fiver. From all over the place. They're very cheap to produce. I'm not sure I really rate aluminium at all anymore. I'm kind of going off it in a fast way. Now let's focus on things that you can actually cook with. Okay, because remember, your mess kit as a whole, when you're thinking about reducing size, weight, etc., that generally there's a price point to be had there as well. There's a number of ways you can skin a cat. Now you could just go with a classic. This is a MSR pocket rocket. This is the Mark 1. I've had this one for a number of years. It's got really good strong steel fins. They're not made of any space age material, and they don't tend to bend very easily at all. In fact, I've only ever broken one of these, and it was quite a long time ago. Okay, and all that happens here is this just connects to the gas bottle underneath. Your gas bottle then becomes the base itself. Okay, and so maybe if I was out on the trail, I might carry one of these, not necessarily as my primary cooking setup, because I like to be able to have a fire where I'm going, but if I'm on the trail, I need to stop and get a coffee on. Okay, very quick and very adaptive, because I can turn it up or I can turn it right down. Okay, and I can taper that right off and use a lot less gas, or I can obviously just shut it off. for something that comes in a packet this big, you know, there's my fist, that's kind of pretty usable. Carrying gas, you know, that's small enough that it fits inside the jet boil is the kind of way to go. Okay, then moving from there into a British military classic. Okay, you used to get issued these. This is generally what comes with it. Okay, and this is a Hexamine cooker, and what you have here is this kind of brass teeth inside of here and a whole pack of Hexamine block. Yeah, still stinks like fish. For anyone who's used this, any squaddies here, they'll know exactly what I'm on about. So you can break up these blocks. Okay, you can take this out, which I'm going to in a moment. You can individually break up these blocks, light them, and this was designed to be used in conjunction with, okay, the British military Crusader mug, and you can see that. You can see the shape they've created here. Okay, so that will literally nest inside there quite nicely. So it's as simple as taking out these white blocks of horrendous smelling Hexamine, okay, and which is a kind of colourless, odourless, burning chemical block, which is horrendous if you breathe it in. So these are not advisable to do if you're going to use these indoors. These are as old as the hills, and I wonder whether they're going to burn at all. Oh, it's trying to. Okay, that's basically Hexamine in action. Now, this then sits over the top. So people involved in cadet forces, people involved in the armed forces will be well versed in this stuff. And when it comes to stopping and making your cup of tea, whatever it is you want to be doing, let's turn this around the right way. All you would do is stick your mug in the hole there and pour your water in. The actual cooker itself is more impressive to me, the actual frame, because you'll get many uses out of this thing, okay, and it's really versatile in that you can also use the more modern fire dragon gel doodahs, okay, so you can rip the lid off this stuff and it's pretty much alcohol gel in gel form for cooking with, and you could lay that on there instead. I just wanted to go and show you the Hexamine block so you saw that process. A company called BCB have started making a new age version of this. It's pretty much the same sketch in that two pieces fold up like that. They're in a kind of a steel colour, and then you just place one of these into the allotted box underneath, light it, mug goes on top, same thing. Where things get interesting and super duper ultra lightweight, to the point where I think actually have we gone too far, is the French have come up with this. If you haven't seen one of these before, guys, they retail at $5.99 and it's a complete pack which is currently being issued to French forces. I thought I'd review it today because it's definitely something that I feel somebody who would be looking to go ultra lightweight might want to consider, and I just want to show you what's involved in one of these packs. So what do you get inside one of these packs? For your $5.99 you get a whole host of stuff. Okay, so that's what's inside there. Let's put that away. You get a metal cutout. Okay, this is actually, believe it or not, this is your cooker. I'll have to try and remember how to assemble this in a minute. You get some black plastic bags, okay, which are for putting all your rubbish in afterwards. Let's pop those back in there. You get a pack of matches complete with the Eiffel Tower on the front, and the l'Arc de Triomphe on the other side, which is incredibly French of them, fantastic. Now, usefully, okay guys, you get some purification tablets. Now, this is ideal for me, so these are going to go, I'm going to put these in my water pouch on the front of here, along with my Millbank bag for purifying water, so that's quite helpful and handy. It's got this, which I haven't quite worked out what is for yet, but I'm going to guess it's perhaps for hooking or picking up the cooker. And then it's got these tiny little dragon gel, miniature dragon gel pouches. Now, the way this kind of works, I believe, is you fold that side up like that, okay, and then I think you fold that side up like that, okay, and then I think you take these ones and you fold them down like that, and then you take these last fins and you bend them around, okay, into a 90, like so. And then you take the last one and you bend these over the top here. Now that really is ultralight, guys. This is probably the epitome of ultralight. This is as small and as light as I would ever risk taking anything. And I'm not saying I'd use this. Okay, so then you open up one of these packets. You can see that clear gel on the top there. Take your fire lighting option. This is probably going to need a bit of a prolonged frame. I doubt a fire striker is going to work on here very well. Okay, it's going to need a bit of... There we go, that's going, and I'm going to drop that inside, he says, and I'm going to drop that inside its tiny little pouch. That is it. So by comparison, size comparison, what you've got here now is you've got the older British model for cooking. Okay, and it's got this new space age French option from BCB using Dragon Gel. Look at the size of it. Is something like my Crusader mug going to even sit on there very well? Well, let's find out. Yes, but I'm not overly confident, and bearing in mind this is sat on a relatively level log, I'm not overly confident in its ability to host that. Okay, it's doing the business though, because I've already started the water off, so there we go. Now it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comes with 6 of these little tablets inside. Okay, so you've got 6 goes and then you're out. And then I don't know what else is going to fit inside there because it's rather specific. If you had some of the other British stuff that we use now left over, okay, it's not going to fit in there in the same way. And it's not like it's kind of big enough or robust enough to have a small fire inside. So it really is specific to the unit that you've bought and the company that are supplying that particular piece of kit. If I was the French military and I've bought 250,000 units of this, okay, for pennies a piece, it would probably make a lot of sense. If I'm going to go out as an individual and buy one of these for $5.99 to get 6 goes out of it, okay, and then here's the bit you didn't see. When I was playing with this in our kitchen, I was given one to test and mess about with. Yeah, you guessed it, I snapped that bit off just from repeatedly putting it into shape and then taking it back out and putting it back into shape, using it again, then trying to get it to go back to the shape that it came in, and then all that happened was it just snapped on me. There is an expression with the ultralight game, and it's something that's long since been used by the Royal Marines, and it's... Hang on a minute, I'm just making myself laugh just saying this. Travel light, freeze at night. Because the kit will let you down, because someone's cut a corner to make it lighter, and in doing so they've removed some of the key material, or they've made it out of something that's not durable enough, or you get my point. So there we go, so that's the super ultra turbo lightweight little cooker in action. Going to have a look at another piece of well tried and tested equipment now, just to kind of wrap things up, which I think you should also be considering, and it is the Humble Spirit Burner or Trangia model. So this one came on the British market at about 10 to 15 pounds, unscrews like so, and then all you do is you go ahead and tip in the fuel that you want to use. I used to run this one on a mix of all kinds of stuff, from bioethanol fuel to hand gel I've got away with in the past. It goes without saying that having this kind of ultra lightweight setup, okay, may be all very well and good, okay, because that's basically what we're talking about here, cooking on some tiny fins on this tiny little cooker. That's great, but you still have to carry this, okay, which as a liquid, okay, per milliliter is going to be a gram, so 1,000 milliliters is a kilo. Whether you're carrying a kilo of water in your pack, or whether you're carrying a kilo of fuel to be able to sustain yourself for a prolonged period of time, the fundamentals are, once this runs out, you either need to buy some more or you're done. I would argue that you get more bang for buck out of a gas bottle. Now there might be people in there that are going to say, no, this is far more ethical. Yes, correct. Sustainable, probably, and readily available. I'm not sure you can get hold of that and that in equal quantities. So in terms of its burn rate, I would need some sort of a complete boffin to be able to tell me relative scales. If there is a boffin watching this today, make sure you tell us in the comments box below. Give us your authoritative breakdown of where you found the research, how and the why. I'd be really interested to hear that. I recently have been playing around with a Hungarian Cook set. This is really, really robust, guys. This is a very heavy, this is much heavier than this one by comparison, larger, beefed up version. I actually quite like this, and if I was going to go this route, I would want something that I could really rely on. Now, something I found interesting with the aftermarket fins that I bought also fit on there. That's kind of cool. And having tested them both recently, I can tell you this one runs far better. There we go. So just give it a moment or two as this starts to really fire up. You could just about make out the blue flame in there. And it's as simple as that. So once you've got the unit up and running, you then put your cup on top, boom, and it's going. Guys, have a play. That's the joy of ultralight gear. Hopefully I've not upset anybody from the ultralight crowd. I'm just making the point that you know, I think it has its place, and I think it's more towards Alpine hiking, Alpine gear than it is kind of bushcraft. But that's not to say that it doesn't have a place. Some items will, some items won't. Let me know what you think in the comments box below. That's quite important to me. Thanks for watching today. I'm Nick Goldsmith from Hidden Valley Bushcraft, and I will see you again next week for another video about, well, you'll just have to tune in and find out.